In the heart of New Haven, where shadows danced beneath flickering streetlights, Detective Emma Blake stood at the edge of a mystery that threatened to consume her city. The heists were flawless, the criminals elusive, and the clock was ticking. As whispers of a hidden mastermind echoed through the alleys, one thing was certain. Emma was about to face the most challenging case of her career. And this time, failure was not an option. Detective Emma Blake stood amidst the chaos, the flashing lights reflecting off the shattered glass of the jewelry store's display case. The air was thick with tension, the kind only a seasoned investigator could navigate. To the untrained eye, it was another high-profile robbery in the bustling city of New Haven. But to Emma, it was a riddle demanding to be solved, a puzzle that whispered of deeper secrets. Emma had built a career on solving the unsolvable, her reputation cemented by her uncanny ability to see what others missed. Yet, the recent surge of meticulously planned heists had left her questioning her instincts. Each scene was pristine, each theft leaving no trace, no hint of the mastermind orchestrating it all. It was as if the thief relished in taunting her, leaving just enough to pique her curiosity, but never enough to pull the thread, unraveling the entire scheme. The unsolved mystery gnawed at her, a reminder of the case that had slipped through her fingers months ago. She could still feel the weight of that failure, a shadow lingering over her every move. But this time, she vowed, things would be different. She would not let another criminal ghost haunt her conscience. As she surveyed the crime scene, a sense of determination welled within her. The challenge was exhilarating, the stakes higher than ever. Here, at the intersection of chaos and opportunity, Emma knew she had to dive headfirst into the murky waters of New Haven's criminal underworld. The city was a labyrinth of secrets, and somewhere within it lay the key to unraveling this web of deceit. This was more than just solving a case. It was about redemption. For Emma, failure was not an option. She had to prove to herself that she could break the cycle, that she could outsmart whoever was behind these crimes. The game was on, and Emma Blake was ready to play. Emma was back at the precinct, poring over files and photographs, when a knock on her office door interrupted her thoughts. She looked up to see Jack, a face she hadn't expected to see again. His reputation preceded him, a reformed thief who had spent more nights in a jail cell than some officers had spent on the force. "Detective Blake," he greeted, a sly smile playing on his lips. "I hear you're dealing with some interesting puzzles." Emma eyed him warily. "What brings you here, Jack? I doubt you're here to confess." He chuckled, stepping inside and closing the door behind him. "I'm here to help, believe it or not. These recent heists are familiar." "Familiar how?" Emma asked, her interest piqued despite herself. Jack leaned against the wall, a casual posture that belied the seriousness of his words. "There's a pattern, a signature. It's subtle, but once you know what to look for, it's there. These jobs, they're not random. They're part of something bigger." Emma frowned, intrigued and skeptical. "And you know this because, let's just say I used to run in those circles. I've heard whispers, seen things." He paused, meeting her gaze. "Look, I know I'm not exactly your first choice for a partner, but I can help you track this down." The room was silent for a moment as Emma weighed her options. Trusting Jack was a gamble, but his offer was tempting. He had the kind of insider knowledge that could crack the case wide open. "What's your angle, Jack? Why help me?" "Redemption, maybe," he replied, sincerity flickering in his eyes. "Or maybe I just like the thrill of the chase. Either way, I can't stand by while this city gets torn apart." Emma considered him for a long moment before nodding. "All right, but know this, any funny business, and you're back behind bars." Jack grinned, extending his hand. "Deal." With a reluctant alliance formed, they began to sift through the evidence. Jack pointed out inconsistencies, subtle clues that had eluded the police. Together, they started piecing together the puzzle, each revelation bringing them closer to the truth. As they worked, Emma felt the familiar spark of hope, a sense of purpose reigniting within her. Perhaps this case wasn't as unsolvable as it seemed. With Jack's insights and her determination, they might just have a chance. Emma and Jack hit the streets, their unconventional partnership drawing curious glances from those who knew their histories. They started with the latest crime scene, a luxurious art gallery stripped of its most valuable pieces. Jack led Emma through the gallery, pointing out subtle details only an insider would notice. "See here," he said, gesturing to a barely visible scuff mark near a window. This was an exit point. Whoever did this knows how to cover their tracks. Emma nodded, impressed by his insight. "You really have an eye for this, Jack." "Old habits," he replied with a shrug. Their investigation took them to the darker corners of New Haven, where whispers of the heist had begun to circulate. They visited contacts and informants, often met with skepticism and thinly veiled threats. But persistence paid off. A small victory came when they uncovered a lead at a local bar known for its shady clientele. An informant there mentioned a name, Marcus Vale, a notorious figure rumored to be orchestrating a series of crimes from the shadows. "Vale's bad news," Jack cautioned as they left the bar. "If he's involved, we're dealing with someone who won't hesitate to protect his interests." Emma felt a surge of determination. "Then we'll have to be smarter, won't we?" Their partnership began to solidify, each minor success fueling their confidence. Emma found herself relying on Jack's insights more than she'd anticipated, and he, in turn, seemed genuinely invested in solving the case. Despite the initial resistance from both the police department and the criminal underworld, their progress was undeniable. Emma felt the pieces of the puzzle slowly aligning, hinting at a bigger picture. The thrill of the chase was intoxicating, and for the first time in months, Emma felt as though she was on the brink of something monumental. The web of crime that had seemed so impenetrable was beginning to unravel, one thread at a time. As Emma and Jack delved deeper into the investigation, the stakes grew higher. The more they uncovered about Marcus Vale, the more dangerous their pursuit became. Vale was a ghost, his operations shrouded in secrecy, and those who crossed him often disappeared without a trace. Emma began receiving anonymous threats, cryptic messages warning her to abandon the case. Despite her resolve, the menace lurking behind each warning gnawed at her. She knew the risks but felt an unwavering need to see justice served. One evening, as they pored over files in Emma's dimly lit office, Jack noticed her unease. "You all right, detective?" Emma hesitated, then nodded. "Just the usual threats. Comes with the job, right?" Jack leaned back, his expression serious. "Vale doesn't play games, Emma. If he's behind this, we need to be careful." Emma sighed, her resolve hardening. "I've faced threats before. I won't back down now." But the pressure was mounting. The shadows of her past failures loomed larger with each step closer to the truth. At night, her dreams were haunted by the unsolved case that had slipped through her fingers, a constant reminder of what was at stake. Her fears weren't just for herself, but for those around her. The closer they got to Vale, the more perilous the path became. Jack's presence was both a comfort and a concern. The ex-thief had become a valuable ally, but his past made him a target as well. Their investigation reached a critical juncture when they discovered a hidden network of warehouses used to store stolen goods. It was a breakthrough, but it also confirmed Vale's reach and power. Emma and Jack knew they were getting closer, but they also realized they were running out of time. Vale would soon know they were onto him, and his retaliation could be swift and unforgiving. Despite the mounting dangers, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose. She'd come too far to turn back now. The truth was within reach, and she was determined to see this case through to the end, no matter the cost. Determined to outmaneuver Marcus Vale, Emma and Jack devised a plan that played to both their strengths. Emma's strategic mind and Jack's insider knowledge formed the backbone of their approach, creating a system to track Vale's operations. They established a network of informants, carefully selecting individuals who could infiltrate Vale's circles without arousing suspicion. Jack's connections proved invaluable, as he tapped into the criminal underworld to gather intelligence. Emma, meanwhile, focused on gathering official records and surveillance data, piecing together the intricate web of Vale's activities. Together, they mapped out a timeline of the heist, identifying patterns and potential future targets. Their efforts culminated in a daring raid on one of Vale's warehouses, a calculated move that required precision and nerves of steel. Emma led a team of trusted officers, while Jack provided crucial intel on the warehouse's layout. The operation was tense but successful. They seized a significant cache of stolen goods and arrested several of Vale's key operatives. The bust sent shockwaves through the criminal community and dealt a substantial blow to Vale's operations. With this victory, Emma and Jack's confidence soared. They had disrupted Vale's network and gathered enough evidence to put pressure on his organization. The city was starting to take notice, and support for their investigation grew as people saw the tangible results of their efforts. Emma's new system of operation, blending official police work with street-level intelligence, proved effective. It brought clarity to a murky situation and breathed new life into the investigation. More importantly, it gave Emma a renewed sense of purpose. The case that had once seemed insurmountable was now within her grasp. She was no longer haunted by past failures, but driven by the possibility of redemption. For Jack, the experience was transformative. He found himself invested in the pursuit of justice, realizing that his past could be a tool for good. The partnership with Emma had not only helped solve the case, but also offered him a chance to redefine his life. Together, they stood on the cusp of unraveling the entire conspiracy. The endgame was near, and both were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The success of the raid brought Emma and Jack closer to Marcus Vale, but it also prompted a swift and ruthless response. Vale was not a man to let challenges go unanswered, and his retaliation came in the form of an unexpected setback. Late one night, as Emma was preparing to leave the precinct, she received a call. Her heart sank as she listened. One of their key informants had been found dead, an apparent message from Vale. The loss was a harsh reminder of the stakes involved, and the emotional toll was heavy. Emma gathered her team, her determination unshaken. "We can't let this deter us. Vale wants us scared, wants us to back off. But we're close, and he knows it." The setback forced them to reevaluate their strategies. Jack was visibly shaken, the reality of their situation hitting him hard. "We're playing a dangerous game, Emma." "I know," she replied, her voice firm. "But we owe it to everyone who's put their trust in us to see this through." Despite the danger, their resolve only strengthened. Emma reached out to her contacts in the department, rallying support and resources. She knew they had to move quickly before Vale could regroup and strike again. The breakthrough came when they discovered a hidden ledger during a follow-up investigation. It detailed transactions and connections, implicating not just Vale, but several influential figures in New Haven. The discovery was explosive, revealing a conspiracy that reached far beyond simple theft. Armed with this new evidence, Emma and Jack prepared for the final confrontation. They coordinated with law enforcement to execute simultaneous raids, intending to dismantle Vale's network once and for all. The tension was palpable as they moved in, the culmination of their efforts hinging on this moment. Emma led the charge, her heart pounding with adrenaline and anticipation. As the dust settled, it became clear their gamble had paid off. Vale was apprehended, his empire crumbling around him. The city breathed a collective sigh of relief. The shadow of his influence finally lifted. Emma and Jack stood amidst the aftermath, the weight of their victory settling in. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, their courage and tenacity lighting the path to justice. With Marcus Vale behind bars and his network dismantled, Emma and Jack's efforts began to ripple through New Haven. The city, once gripped by fear, buzzed with a renewed sense of safety and hope. Emma's colleagues at the precinct, initially wary of her unorthodox methods, now rallied around her. Her determination and success had inspired a new approach to policing, one that embraced collaboration and creativity. Jack, too, found his role changing. The community viewed him less as a former criminal and more as a valuable ally in the fight against crime. His insights had been crucial, and his transformation was a testament to the power of redemption. Together, Emma and Jack held workshops, sharing their experiences and strategies with fellow officers and community members. Their story became a beacon, illustrating how trust and collaboration could lead to meaningful change. Emma's relationship with her team deepened, her leadership fostering a culture of openness and innovation. The precinct became a hub for proactive crime solving, with Emma at the helm, guiding her colleagues with wisdom and compassion. The community, inspired by the dismantling of Vale's empire, began to engage more actively with law enforcement. Neighborhood watches formed, and citizens took pride in keeping their streets safe, empowered by Emma and Jack's example. Emma also took time to mentor young detectives, passing on the lessons she'd learned. Her office was often filled with eager officers seeking her guidance, her reputation as a mentor growing alongside her legacy as a detective. For Jack, the journey had been transformative. He found a new purpose, using his past experiences to help others choose a better path. His story of redemption resonated, encouraging those who had strayed to find a way back. The impact of their work extended beyond the immediate victory. It fostered a sense of unity and resilience, a belief in the possibility of change. Emma and Jack's partnership had shown that even the most elusive mysteries could be unraveled with perseverance and trust. As they stood together, reflecting on their journey, they knew their work was far from over. But for now, they allowed themselves to savor the moment, grateful for the chance to make a difference. In the quiet aftermath of their victory, Emma found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. Standing on the rooftop of the precinct, she looked out over New Haven, the city she loved and had fought so hard to protect. The path had not been easy. The challenges had been relentless, the dangers real. But through it all, she had discovered the strength that lay in trust and collaboration. She had learned to embrace the unknown, to see potential allies in unexpected places. Jack joined her, leaning against the railing. Quite a view, isn't it? Emma nodded, a smile playing on her lips. We did it, Jack, against all odds. He chuckled. I'd say we make a pretty good team. They stood in companionable silence, the weight of their accomplishments settling in. Emma thought of the lives they had touched, the ripple effects of their work spreading throughout the community. Her thoughts drifted to the future, the cases yet to be solved, the mysteries waiting to be unraveled. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, the fire of determination burning brighter than ever. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the city in a warm glow, Emma knew she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She had grown, not just as a detective, but as a leader and a mentor. The journey had been transformative, not just for her, but for everyone involved. It was a testament to the power of resilience, the courage to confront fear, and the impact of working together. Emma turned to Jack, gratitude in her eyes. Thank you, Jack, for everything. He smiled, a genuine warmth in his expression. I should be thanking you, Emma. You gave me a second chance. Together, they watched as the city lights flickered on, illuminating the streets below. It was a new beginning, a promise of hope and possibility. For Emma Blake, the detective who had faced the shadows and emerged victorious, the story was far from over. It was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with promise and endless potential.